So how is Donald Trump reacting to this new pressure? Well, he's changing his approach to the news. And the best way that I saw this summed up was one, albeit anonymous, senior White House official said that he is making a defensive barrier between himself and news that doesn't, quote, make him feel beautiful and powerful. That was a person who works for him who said that. But anyway, what does that mean in practice? Well, it means a few different things. You might have seen in the news this week. On Thursday, the Wall Street Journal reported the White House planned to order federal agencies to stop renewing subscriptions to the Washington Post and the New York Times. This comes after earlier this week, he canceled not the online version, but at least the in-print version of those things coming to the White House. But what's interesting about that is that people who work with him say that even though he seems like the sort of person who's never read more than a picture book in his life, supposedly for years, he does read newspapers every day. He doesn't learn anything, but he reads them, and they said it's such an ingrained habit that he's going to end up asking for copies to be delivered, that he's going to come to hate this move that he's made.
He's triggered by a masthead. He's triggered by the mere sight of the New York Times.
Yeah.
So he's not only canceling his New York Times subscription, he is commissioning the digging of holes in the sand for him to bury his head in. That's what this is. This is so fragile.
Yeah.
I don't understand how anyone can look at his behavior and say, here's a strong guy.
Alpha male.
I need to get rid of my subscriptions. I'm afraid of mastheads. I don't want to see what the paper is or who works for it. And do you think he actually read those articles? No.
They're saying that he did. I mean, look, I'm trying to correct my own bias. I would assume that he doesn't read it all, but supposedly he does.
He likes to sit at a wingback chair and just go like this. Just the crackle of it.
Because he's seen businessmen do it on movies?
Because that's what they do. And maybe he has the Wall Street Journal, businessmen read the Journal. He also probably sees the headlines and he likes the ritual. There's tons of people
who, be fun.
Not many people read the entire paper.
No, of course not. Does he get it ironed? Because I saw that in Downton Abbey and it seems very fancy. I'm not sure. So that's what's going on with the actual newspapers. He's created a safe space.
John wants you to know he watches Downton Abbey. He's cultured.
No. I want you to know that I watched the first episode of Downton Abbey where that scene appears, and then I moved on.
I tried many times to get through it. I could not.
I watched it because I heard that there were a lot of Game of Thrones people on it, but not in the first episode, and that's as much of an investment as I can commit.
But I didn't cancel my subscription to Netflix where it was for a while.
Definitely not. I gotta find out what happens in the last episode of Rhythm and Flow. But anyway, so we're gonna move forward. That's one type of media, which I would describe as the media. But there's a different type, and this he's more interested in. So on Wednesday, Tommy Lauren tweeted a photo of a sheet of paper the president had signed, thanking her for everything. The page labeled "Reactions to President Trump's Rally in Dallas, Texas" was a compilation of tweets, and they mean that literally. The page was a bunch of screenshotted tweets on one piece of paper. And we find out more about this thanks to the reporting by the Daily Beast. The autographed piece of paper the Fox Nation host received is actually the result of a long-standing demand that Trump has made of his aides. Following a MAGA rally, staff began compiling packets which would sometimes stretch numerous pages exclusively displaying tweets about the rally Trump had just headlined. Trump became so accustomed to these pages that, according to a source familiar with the matter, he would complain to senior aides if he didn't have the packet of Twitter posts in hand to read over within 20 minutes of the campaign rally ending. And look, that's weird, true, but it gets a little bit sad. One senior administration official was quoted as saying, "It remains to this day a source of joy for the president. He will sometimes wave the post-rally printouts around, talking about how much people love him and what a great job he did. It's often someone from Fox or some guy from the internet tweeting about the president."
Do you know who that guy was on that one of the people on this printout of Tommy Lauren? Chuck Woolery.
Really?
Yes. Chuck Woolery, and then some guy from the internet, and then the GOP just randomly quote tweeting one line from his speech. This is so pathetic. Not just, think of the entire breadth of it. One, he needs this he needs the praise. He needs to see it immediately. He waves it around, it's so good. But two, he can't, the same way he can't see the New York Times, he also can't just pull out his Twitter feed and scroll through the comments.
But
because when he does that, it's going to be the negative comments too.
Yeah.
So he needs someone to go through and again bury his head in the sand and insulate him completely from any negative reinforcement because it triggers him so.
Yeah, so look, I would say I understand how negative the internet can be.
Yeah.
And you are under no obligation to open up the core nexus of your brain to the unbridled insanity of the internet. But you're also, you probably shouldn't have a tweeted out list that you wave around like a kid who just got a balloon. Like that's weird too.
But the problem is his rhetoric and the changing nature of the news media kind of allows everyone to do this, and they're
very carefully select what emotional experience they get.
Yes, to if all they want to do is weed out anything that refutes any instinct that they might have.
Yeah.
And any other information out there. He's able to make the world this way. Fox News and a lot of his supporters are trying to have the exact same experience. They just can't afford aides to go find and print out all the positive tweets because the tax cut didn't apply to them.
Yeah, imagine if I'm trying to imagine what version of this would be acceptable. Maybe if it was interesting perspectives compilated into a page, or criticisms that seem to come from a place of wanting this person to be better. Here are things to consider to change. That could be useful. He's not going to get any of that. Just getting the praise is weird, and whatever definition of alpha male you have, if it incorporates this, it's a useless definition. Doesn't mean anything.
No, he's doing it. He's alpha male applies to dogs typically. But he's more of a good little puppy.
Yeah.
He does it because he wants a treat. And this is his little treat.
Yeah. Look, I get it. So the final thing I want to talk about in terms of the media is his approach to interviews. So back during the 2016 election, he was all over the news, always. He was on Fox News a ton, sure, but he was on Morning Joe every morning for what felt like 17 years or so. And so he was spreading it around everywhere because he wanted to overwhelm the news, and it 100% worked. I don't like it to be there.
I want to Photoshop that real bad. Sorry. Continue.
Anyway, he wanted to be all over the news, and it worked. And I think he probably won the primary in no small part because he was all over the news. Well, his approach right now apparently is, I'm not interested in that anymore. I'm not doing CNN, I'm not doing MSNBC. I want to be on Fox News. He's doing more and more interviews with Sean Hannity and all of that recently. And he said about these other places, why would I give them the best ratings they've ever had when they've been this nasty and so corrupt, so vile? So this I only bring up because it does mark a changing campaign strategy that, if he's consistent on it, could have an effect in this re-election bid.
Yeah, but that's just more of the same. Him trying to only cater to a base by giving little drops of information that reinforce whatever his strategy was. But what's hilarious about this is that the impeachment inquiry is little drops of information in the other direction. And the difference between the drops of information from the impeachment inquiry and the drops of information from Trump to Fox News is the impeachment inquiry. Those are all actual facts.
That is different.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching this clip from The Damage Report. For more content from the show and access to TYT Network members-only exclusives, go to tyt.com/Brooke. Wait, no, it's tyt.com/John. Go to tyt.com/John to sign up.